Welcome to the IAA Council here in Lisbon. It's really nice to see all of you. Okay. We will start with the roll call, like presenting yourself. I'm wondering, Abe, if you want to start, and I guess we'll go up the table and then down on the other side.
Abraham Hernandez, representing PBSS.
Ellen Kleinsdaber, representing the Conference of Consulting Actuaries.
Mary Hosford, representing the Casualty Actuarial Society.
Yongbom John from the Institute of Actuary of Korea.
Lutz Wilhelmi, representing the Swiss Association.
Fred Weber, representing the Singapore Actuarial Society.
Odd Svensson, the Norsk Aktuarforening, Norway.
Wilhelm Schneemeyer, representing the German Association.
Philippe Demeul, representing the Institut des Actuaires en Belgique.
Mike Lombardi, representing Society of Actuaries.
Bezena Hinton, Australia.
Harri Kuosmanen, representing Actuarial Society of Finland.
Naoki Tsunamoto, representing Institute of Actuary of Japan.
Ksenia Sankovic, representing Croatian Actuarial Association.
Roseanne Harris, immediate past president.
Charles Cowling, president-elect.
Micheline Dion, president. Oh, by the way, I did forget to mention, we'll just do the table. So, but still, Mathieu? Oops.
Mathieu Langelier, executive director.
Vincent Chen, I'm representing the Actuarial Institute of Chinese Taipei.
Hartwig Sorger, representing Austrian Association.
Marika Goralnik, Estonian Actuarial Society.
Ajiro Ota from Japanese Society of Certified Pension Actuaries.
Marcin Krzykowski, Polish Actuarial Association.
Gianpaolo Grenka, representing Italian Society of Actuaries.
John Oust, representing the Dutch Actuarial Association.
Alexander Dollhoff, Society of Actuaries in Sweden. Good morning.
Kartina Tahe-Thompson, representing Institute and Faculty of Actuaries in the UK.
George Simonides, representing the consulting section.
Thank you very much. Let's now. Okay. Sorry.
Any online?
Huh?
Any online? Yeah, online.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Yes, any council member online?
Yes, indeed. I'm Alexander Wong, representing the Actuarial Society of Hong Kong. Thank you.
Neil Tego, representing the Actuarial Society of Ghana.
Lisa Wade, representing the Caribbean Actuarial Association.
Any other member?
Yes, that's me. Ibrahim Mohanna, representing the Lebanese Association of Actuaries and the Russian Guild.
Thank you.
Pedro Pacheco, representing the Mexico Colegio Nacional de Actuarios.
Yes. I see Israel. No?
Yes, Daphne Kaufman, representing the Israel Actuarial Association.
And Iceland, I guess. Iceland, do you want?
Yes, Sture Jonathan from the Icelandic Association.
Thank you very much. I think we now have everybody from council. Okay, good. So let's talk about how we're going to organize ourselves today in terms of how we're going to function. We will not do Well, no, that's we just did. Those that are on Zoom, please have your name indicating your country or FMA acronym, including your first name. And only one delegate per FMA and section is allowed as a council meeting participant. All participants have been automatically muted upon entry. Screen sharing features have been disabled except for the live feed from Lisbon. Use, please, the raise hand feature if you want to make a verbal contribution. Once recognized by the chair, that you will be unmuted. We're going to ask you to have a reasonably short contribution, no more than 3 minutes, please. Okay. Do I need to turn plus? No, c'est bon? Okay. Okay, no amendments of motion can be made at council meetings. If there's a need for an amendment, the motion will be postponed after council and submitted to an electronic vote. The chair will ask for each of the motion a mover and a seconder. Use again the raise hand feature in the reaction if you want to make a verbal contribution, and once recognized by the chair, you will be unmuted. This is if you're on the screen. For each motion, a poll will be shown on the screen. Virtual delegates will have 1 minute to cast their vote. In-person delegates will be asked to raise their voting cards. For motions that do not have observable support, that is for or against, delegates will be asked to indicate yes, no, or abstain with the slow down icon. Using Zoom buttons, and the weighted voting tabulation will be calculated by staff. Next slide. Or maybe you may use the chat feature to send your question to the chair. Observers and other representatives are seeing this live via the IE YouTube channel, although I'm not sure that's true, but no, it's not working right now, but it's being recorded. So we do have some technical difficulties, so sorry for that. But definitively a recording will be available. Okay, next slide. Yeah, okay, so today we have 117 delegates present out of votes, sorry, yes. We don't have that many delegates in this room. 117 votes out of a possibility of 173, with a total of 73%. We do have a proxy that's been represented, as we've just heard at the presentation, representing 2 votes or 1%. And we have received 5 ballots from China, Colombia, Serbia, Slovenia, and the AFIR ERM section for a total of 8 votes, or close to 5% of the votes. So, okay. So today, this is our agenda. There's something new in this agenda. We have consent items. We're trying to make the meeting more efficient. So we're trying this for, I don't know if it's the first time, but if it's not the first time, it's in a long time. So what we have there is the previous minutes to be approved, the pandemic task force report and the climate risk task force report and the membership committee report. As we're going to vote for the agenda, if you want an item on the content agenda to be off the consent because you want discussed or you have questions, please indicate, and we will take note of that, and the discussion will be moved to the regular agenda. But if not, then everything on council will be considered adopted as we adopt the agenda. And the rest of the topics that will be covered with the meeting include the statutory committee reports, and you have the list here on the screen, and the business agenda, again, from the different committees, and eventually a change of officers and some reports and in the future events. So may I ask a mover and a seconder for the vote on the agenda, and the motion is that the council approve the agenda as presented. Yes, okay. Any discussion? Okay, so you're comfortable. Okay, then vote. Okay, so it seems to be good in this room, but we're going to wait for the ones online.
They're starting.
They're starting?
First one takes a few seconds more.
Yes, yes. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Good.
Good, okay, so motion passed. Next slide. Yeah, just so. One motion has been submitted since our last meeting and has already been approved. The ballot has been issued on June 21st and it's closed on July 21st. That the ballot was regarding that on the recommendation of the nomination committee, council approves the appointment of Clement Frey as a member of the executive committee with his term expiring on December 31st, 2025. Yes, well, yeah. It is my sad duty to report on the death of Estella Chou earlier this year. Estella had held many roles at the IAA. Most notably, she served as a member of the executive committee. She also was instrumental as chair of the China subcommittee from 2005 to 2011, which led to the China Association of Actuaries to be admitted as a full member. Since then, she was an active member of the Asia Task Force and vice chair of the Advice and Assistance Committee, and a member of the Communication Committee, subcommittee, that is, until last year, and also representative of the Actuarial Society of Hong Kong. I did have the pleasure of getting to know her in my year of president-elect. I remember her kindness and how easy it was to approach her. I understand that she showed courage and resilience as she fought for life over many months, and my thoughts have been with her during that period. We also lost Patrick Bloomfield. He was president and delegate of the Association of Consulting Actuaries in the UK, as well as previously serving on Pensions and Employee Benefit Committee. I did not have, though, the pleasure of having our paths cross. I understand that his passing was sudden and unexpected. I quote from Stephen Taylor, current ACA president, "Patrick wanted to make the pension industry a better place and improve outcomes for future generation, and we will strive to continue his legacy with the zest and determination that he demonstrated." I would like to ask you to take a minute of silence in memory of Estella Chou and Patrick Bloomfield, and in memory of all the others recently departed actuaries that may not have been so extensively active at the IAA, but have nevertheless touched our lives. Thank you very much. Yes. permit such survey report. Yes, next slide. Okay. Let's look at the EC objectives for 2023, which has been the first year of our 5-year plan. On the engagement front, in 2023, we committed to put the emphasis on increasing our representation at key FMA events and to continually look for opportunities. So let me give you a bit of detail of what we did this year. In 2023, each Tier 1 association larger event was attended by the closest officer. I also attended virtually the DAV as president for a full coverage of the Tier 1 association. Last year, I had encouraged the French speaking association to leverage the opportunity of having a French-speaking IAA president. In addition to having been able to enjoy opening the virtual conference of the International Colloquium of the French Actuaries for the 3rd time, France and Morocco responded to my invitation. Next week, I would have met both their board members and addressed their actuarial members regarding the benefit of being part of the global IAA. In France, I had a strong feeling that addressing them in French made the IAA feel much more closer and inclusive. I am hoping that it would feel the same when visiting Morocco next week, just an hour flight away from here. It is also important to have a presence with the smaller associations from Tier 2 and Tier 3. It is not possible to visit each in person, but a virtual presence is also much appreciated and allow us to be visible around the globe. I therefore presented virtually to a number of events this year. I presented to the Slovak Society of Actuaries, the Serbian conference, with adding to the presentation was pre-registered with Serbian subtitles. So that's an option if some of you we do have access to multiple subtitle translations. I also opened the virtual day of the Singapore, of the Singapore Annual Conference, and just a few days ago, the 3rd South Asian Conference hosted by Sri Lanka opened with a pre-registered message from the IAA. And by the way, if you're wondering which one I attended, I basically attended everyone that asked for something from me. Because I felt, especially if you don't have to travel, this is a nice touch and people seem to really enjoy it. So I didn't have to make a selection, but just to say that don't be shy. At the same time, we cannot. There's some limit, but right now I didn't feel that we had crossed the limit. So, in fact, I'm going to even make a challenge for my successor to do a fair bit of these, and I think he will enjoy it. So. But I also attended some virtual of these Tier 1, Tier 2. I also attended some in person. It's also good to be in person when the situation warrants it. So I did attend the 22nd Global Conference of Actuaries in India to encourage participation from them. Following the meeting, 17 volunteers from India raised their hand to participate into IAA committees and forum. In 2 weeks, I will be attending the 2023 Caribbean Actuarial Association Conference. The members of the CAA have been incredibly active at the IAA, considering the size of their organization. It has been a while that any officers attended the CAA conference. I felt it was important to recognize their participation at least once in a while. In total, I made 4 local visits, 2 visits combined with opportunities, and 1 strategic standalone, plus 6 virtual presentations. My fellow officers also did some visit, an additional 10 in-person visits, including some in connection with other local or supranational engagement. However, virtual presentation, as I say, was not very popular, hence the challenge. We also committed to explore different needs of the ALOA and start pilot projects. The potential needs of ALOA beyond presence at their conference has been discussed at SPC and EC. Mohamed Amrani, the chair of the Advice and Assistant, is taking a specific look to better serve the African continent, and Pedro Pacheco is coordinating the efforts towards Latin America and with the help of Marcela Abraham, Vice Chair of Advice and Assistance. Both are interacting with the IAA and the Latin American Association to better serve their need. Regarding Asia, we are planning an AI conference next year and a specific conference in Hong Kong. Next slide. On the awareness front, we are continuing to develop the Future Actuary Roadmap through the phase 2 of the Future Actuary Task Force, Creating Supply and Demand, that you've approved in Sydney. You will hear more from Jill Hoffman, chair of that task force, later this morning. Also, the Education Committee has made progress in agreeing on the assessment of the coverage of the syllabus by association, and I'm hoping that we can move forward past that hurdle in the very near future. The Education Committee still need to look at the IA syllabus with the perspective of updating the split between core and elective subject, and I've been asked to explore the possibility of introducing CPD requirements. Reports to that effect are now being expected in 2024. Next slide. On the outreach front, we have committed to move forward on communications and IT support. We have launched our online community on Mobilize platform to that effect, and more than 650 IA volunteers have joined. But we still have a few hundred who have not taken action to join, so please encourage your volunteers to participate. Early next year, we'll inform the FMAs of non-active volunteers to ensure that your representation across committee forums is current. Soon, the IAA email distribution list will be discontinued so we can focus our energy on serving volunteers through our main engagement platform. No, je pense que no changes. Back, yeah. We have boosted our presence on LinkedIn, our main social media platform, with over 13K followers, with the largest increase occurring surrounding our meetings and the ICA 2023 in Sydney. I encourage you to follow the IAA page if you haven't already. I encourage you and your FMA to share any relevant IAA news with your own followers. Nevertheless, we still have to strengthen our IT support and analyze potential IT solutions for further improvement in communication. The Secretariat has hired an IT consultant to perform an analysis of our IT system and processes in view of improving functionality for both staff, but also you volunteers. The IAA consultant will be able to provide us next year what infrastructure improvement may be needed. It is to that effect, once the appropriate system has been identified, that we will be looking for a permanent and formal IT support as part of our objective with the plan, and we will establish which solution best meet our needs, recruiting an IT or web specialist or hiring an external company to provide that much needed support. The hiring was expected to be completed in 2023, but did not materialize due to the tight employment market. The last slide focused on the high-level 5-year plan strategic direction. For the plan to deliver its promises, we need to deliver at the tactical level in line with the IC role. To improve the IAA impact, the EC is now asking each relationship manager of Tier 1 supranational to provide a 5-year vision and a 12-month plan. To strengthen the coordination and successful succession planning, the EC created in the recent month a deputy relationship manager role to support the role of the relationship manager with the purpose of having a natural successor to the relationship manager. The EC has also introduced the concept of term limits. Ideally, overall terms should not exceed 10 years to allow bringing new candidates, new delegates in the relationship team. The relationship manager and the deputy relationship manager should also be connected to committees, forums, and sections to facilitate the flow of information between the relationship team and committees, forum, and sections. An officer is dedicated to sections to improve communication, and the current officer designated is Charles Cowling. Next slide. An essential component of the IA strategy is to develop and maintain beneficial relationships with supranational organizations. The supras are ranked according to the importance of our relationship with them. The level 1 organization are those which we have a memorandum of understanding with them. They have been listed on the screen, and you should be able to recognize them. I'm certainly hopeful that you are able to. For the level 2 organization, next slide, we maintain relationships that are more reactive than proactive based on the topic and opportunities. With level 3 organization, contacts are limited but open if the opportunity, the appropriate opportunity arises. I'm now going to focus on some of the Tier 1 supranational. Yeah. The IAIS is one of the top supranationals with whom we are collaborating. In Sydney, we heard Jonathan Dixon, Secretary General of the IAIS, presenting the plans and accomplishment of the IAIS, allowing all of us to submit questions virtually. His virtual presence was a tribute to the strength of the relationship that has been built over the years. Since Sydney, the IAIS held a global seminar in Seattle. Tara Wolf, Vice Chair of Insurance Accounting Committee, and Nick Dexter, Chair of the Insurance Regulatory Committee, hosted a session on IFRS 17 implementation issues on behalf of the IAA. The IAA also responded to the IAIS consultation related to capital standard and approaches to climate risk. Last week, the IAA ran a session on the future of the actuaries as supervisors are relying on the actuarial profession for resources and knowledge, both within their team and as they rely on the professionalism of actuaries in the industry. With A2II, the IAA provides education session to help build skills on the regulatory side. The more recent focus of the A2II has been on Africa and the Caribbean. To date, the course has been taught in English, in French, and in Spanish. Sincere congratulations to the relationship management team for their continuous dedicated work. In February, change of slide. We still have some technical issues. Oops, too much. Okay. In February, The OECD launched their paper on mortality and the provision of retirement income through a joint webinar with the IAA, recognizing the contribution of the IAA and its volunteers on their paper. In June, the IAA representative attended the joint WPPP and IOPS meeting, as well as the IPPC meetings. The IAA has responded to the IPPC paper on disaster risk discussed at IPPC and sent a clarifying submission following the June meetings. It is also in June that we discussed with the Environment Directorate a potential collaboration on water risk between the OECD and the IAA. The Environment Directorate committed resource in the person of Lila Davis, one of their economists, to work with the Water Risk Task Force. And it is her that you've heard at the town hall earlier this week, if you were with us at that point, she presented the OECD water risk perspective. In October, Charles presented to WPPP and IOPS on private pension. By touching many contact points at the OECD, we are reinforcing the relationship. Thanks to the OECD whole relationship management team for their continuous development efforts. Not change slide yet. We are also able to collaborate with the ISSA for paper, they collaborated with us on paper 7 of the CRTF, addressing the impact on social security on climate-related risk. You should be able to see that paper soon in, well, I guess it says December 23, no, it's forecast is early 2024. Next slide. Yes. COP28 is quickly arriving. This year, again, the IAA will be sending a delegation to COP. We will have Raid Muslin, who represented us last year from CRTF. He will be accompanied by Simon Curtis, who is leading the ASC ISAP 8 task force, which is related to this topic of climate and disclosure. And yeah. Earlier this week, we issued a news release to highlight the actuarial profession continued commitment to contribute to the assessment and mitigation of climate-related risk. There also has been a few exchange with CIF, with a meeting in July where perspectives were shared. Another meeting is being planned. Regarding the ISSB, there are discussions to have one of their board members present at our Seoul meeting, and we have made an offer to the ISB to participate with them on an upcoming climate project. Yes, and by the way, you'll have a report from the ASC on that ISAP 8 a bit later on the agenda. Yes, okay, sorry. On the Assure. So on Assure, besides this thing on ISAP 8, we also have the professional committee drafting an international note on professional judgment. With the advance of artificial intelligence, addressing the use of professional judgment is becoming crucial for the credibility of our profession. The written report from the membership committee was included in the consent agenda. They are focusing on connecting and working with associate members to support them in their efforts to become full members. During the year, advice and assistance facilitated a number of events. The Evento Regional Actuarial in Latin America. They had discussion with the regulatory authority in Rwanda, and as previously mentioned, the Asia Task Force is planning an event in Hong Kong. On the advance front, Charles Cowling will provide you an update later on today as part of the business report. Oops. Yes, it's a bit, okay, guys, we'll get back to that slide later on. Yep. The Audit and Finance Committee, so that's governance. Oops, yeah, no. The Audit and Finance Committee shared, my apologies, there have been a lot of activities in the last few days and things are moving. So the Audit and Finance Committee has shared the revised risk registered with EC, SPC, and Nomination, who has reviewed the information and provided their assessment of the risk it will be providing their assessment of risk in 2024 to Audit and Finance. Regarding the diversity of the pool of candidates and the pool of nominees, Jan Kars will also talk to you, and as chair of the nomination committee, he did already report in Sydney. We indicated at the beginning of the year our intention to expand the focus on women to other forms of diversity and inclusion and build on the success of the Young Actuary World Cup to further reach younger actuaries. We also intended to look closer at diversifying the pool of candidates for key roles and look at maximizing the complementarity of their leadership team. We will have a special item on that point later on the agenda. Oh, it's already there. Okay. Okay. Next slide. Let me, okay, get me the surprise. I don't know how many of you were able to attend the town hall. We had a presentation from Lisa Wade on their on the project. What they're expecting to do in the near future is a survey of FMAs to find out their approach and what they were focusing on. There'll be a webinar on the panel discussion. There has been a webinar on the panel discussion on gender and pricing. And they were planning training session on unconscious bias with the IA leaders. This has, Lisa had a poll of whether you guys were interested a few days ago, and you showed interest, and in fact, it's to the benefit of all of us to be better trained and recognize the diversity and inclusion challenges and be more open. So there'll also be some workshop in Seoul, so welcome to that.
So correction, the webinar is going to happen.
Okay. This is why I was not aware of it.
So exciting. It's exciting today.
Okay. Oh. Yes. The Climate Risk Action Plan. So the ASC will report later on the agenda on its monitoring of the activities of the International Sustainability Standards Board and its progress on ISAP 8 that has been placed in Sydney on the Strategic Action Plan for ISAPs. The ASC is now ready to ask your approval on the Statement of Intent for ISAP 8 before it starts the actual work to do the actual ISAP 8. Needless to say, the ASC has been aggressively progressing, thanks to the ASC team. As a reminder, the ISSB focuses on sustainability disclosure and is a sister organization of the International Accounting Standards Board, the ISB, and both are under the current IFRS umbrella. The second leg of the plan was to engage with FMAs and practicing actuaries, i.e. committees, task force forums, and section, to assess needs and available information regarding a potential international actuarial note to help actuaries in relation with IFRS S2 standard on climate risk disclosure, an indication of interest for future sustainability topics. Work on that IAN has been progressing since Sydney, and further work is scheduled here in Lisbon. The third leg of the plan is the survey of further needs of FMA regarding climates. It will be used to develop an extension of our current plan over the 2024 and to 2026 period. You will hear more about that survey in Seoul once we have made more progress on the ISAP and IAN fronts. And I know some of you are very impatient to see action in that direction. Next slide. Yes, is Jill with us? Yeah, Jill. Do we have a, no, there's a podium over there, or? Yes, yes, whichever you're more comfortable with.
I'll just kick Fred out of his seat. Thank you so much for having me here this morning. So I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the Future Actuary Task Force. So just as a quick reminder, we published the first paper earlier this year, which was all about looking at the risk and opportunities for actuaries. So I myself and one of the other task force members presented it at the Actuarial Society of Hong Kong's Innovation Conference. Roseanne spoke about it with the IAIS in Tokyo last week, and I did a very quick summary of it. The time has no meaning. Was it yesterday, 2 days ago at the town hall? So if any of you are interested in having a presentation on the actuarial, on the future actuary and this first paper, I'm more than happy to support you. So please do reach out to the Secretariat. They know where to find me. I'm not able to hide from them as much as I try. And I'd be happy to do a talk for you. I do have a longer version than what was presented at the town hall. So we have still 2 more steps to do with respect to this task force. We approached it looking at it like basically like the actuarial control cycle. So what are the risks and opportunities? What is the gaps that we see there? How do we fill those gaps? And then how do we create the supply and demand? So with respect to the skill gap and how to fill it, I've been in contact with the Education Committee and have had first conversations with Henning there. So I'll work with him and we'll come up with a statement of intent to present to Council next year for the work to carry out there. In the meantime, the supply and demand, we've started work on that already. We did a call for volunteers, and thank you so much. We had an overwhelming response. We heard from some associations that we haven't heard from in a long time as well. Plus, we were able to capture some future actuaries. So the Young Actuaries World Cup, we have some of the contestants from there who have been dialing in. We've been trying to manage time zones, but it's been manageable so far, thanks to the Secretariat support and Amali especially with respect to that. So with respect to that task force, what we've done first is really looking at how do we describe ourselves. So when we're thinking about supply and demand, there's sort of 2 avenues of supply. There's the students themselves, but then there's also the gatekeepers. So think about like parents, teachers, like how do people find out about what an actuary is? And then when we look at the demand side, we see 2 big groups there as well. The traditional employers, so your insurance company, pension funds, those type of people, those type of organizations, and then the non-traditional fields, so like your water and your OECD. So what we wanted to do first was do a scan of looking at your websites. So luckily I had a big army of people to help me out and just say like, how do we describe ourselves and what are the words that we're using there and who is the target audience that the website is aimed at. So we've done that scan and we're now in the process of collating that information, which we will share with you once that's done. But sort of the initial suspicions is a lot of the website is sort of when we describe what an actuary is, a lot of it's aimed towards students, which is fine. But perhaps we also need to look at how when we go visit the Supras and how do we describe ourselves, we can't point them to a website that's aimed towards students. That's probably not appropriate. So that'll be the next step is looking at how can we create some language around describing that for various different stakeholders, but that are still always consistent as well, but maybe different tweaks to that. So that's where we're at with that. So I think we're well on track, and really thank you so much to all the associations for sending forward so many people. Really appreciate the enthusiasm that we have for this, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Perfect. I'm going to escape back to the back row again. Thank you so much.
Yes, we're now at the portion of the report with the appointments and reappointments to the leadership of the IAA committees, forum, and IAA delegates to section. So we do have a motion that the council ratify the appointments and reappointments approved by the executive committee as indicated in the attached development chart. May I have a mover and then a seconder, Gabor and Lutz? Yeah. Please cast your vote and raise your voting cards, or raise your voting cards. We're waiting for the online. Okay.
We're physically voting online with our hands. So that's good.
Okay, good. Okay, that's thank you very much. Motion passed. Yeah. Next then. Yes, Roseanne, it's yours.
Thank you very much. So my task is to provide some feedback on the discussions at the Strategic Planning Committee, and just as a reminder to Council of the role of the Strategic Planning Committee is to engage on items that are of strategic importance to the IAA, or matters of significance to the member associations that require discussion. And I must say, in my participation in the SPC over these last 3 years, it has certainly been a very effective place for discussion. And I'd certainly like to thank everybody certainly participating this year and in the previous years for their contribution to those discussions. So the kind of topics that we have covered in the SPC meetings during the course of 2023 has included the various initiatives that are underway. So as Jill has just reported on, the work of the Future Actuary Task Force, also the work of the Pandemics Task Force, as is reported to Council in the report that you've reviewed as part of the pack. Also the work on the Sustainability Development Goals, which was a topic that was identified last year in Brussels, and that led to the development of the SOI, and of course now the establishment of the task force working on that. And similarly for the work on the water risk, which was also identified as one of those topics, and as you've seen, a very important topic for us to be focusing on. And I think both of these topics demonstrate the shift towards a proactive approach towards topics that are of relevance both to our membership and also to the supranational partners. And then most recently, of course, the topic of artificial intelligence that was identified in the horizon scanning exercise that the SPC has done on a quarterly basis in the first quarter of this year. And it's really pleasing that then we've moved to having being in the development phase of an SOI on that topic, as you've already heard. So in terms of a few other topics which are not necessarily related to initiatives, the topic of the incorporation of the IAA Secretariat has been extensively discussed, and Micheline will comment on that later. We've also covered geopolitical risks, the banking crisis, regional representation, and at the SPC meeting yesterday identified that this is something that is being dealt with through the Advice and Assistance Committee the task forces, and then of course supranational representation. The SPC has been engaging to be consistent with our strategic plan. So if we go on to the next slide, if you can. Oops, no, too much. Okay. I think that's the next one.
It needs to be warmed up.
Yeah, I think it's that one. So one of the areas that the SPC is also keeping an eye on is the work on the strategic plan. So last year in Montreal, the council approved the 5-year strategic plan, and it's really important, of course, that this is not a document that gets put on a shelf and gathers dust and is only pulled out in 5 years' time. So so we have engaged with the different topics that were identified. You can see them flagged there: the better FMA engagement, increased super engagement, improving outreach, raising awareness, and then in the middle there, the support and representation and investing in communication and IT. So if you go on to the next one. So the SPC has been monitoring the progress in those areas, particularly this year, the work on improving communication and IT, which is still work in progress. But significant improvements, as Micheline has already reported, have been made. Increasing assistance for super engagement, and again, you can see the extent to which that has moved forward. Better support for FMA engagement and representation, and that, of course, has been evident in the number of engagements and the challenge passed on to Charles, as well as raising awareness via advice and assistance. So part of then the discussion is also what we call the horizon scanning. Hopefully the horizon doesn't always look like the illustration on the slide, but that one of the tasks of the SPC is to be keeping a lookout for areas where actuaries can add value, or areas of significance to the actuarial profession. And this is specifically issues of global significance. And that's important in terms of the work that the SPC does, is to make sure that we are identifying topics that are of global relevance, and of course in recognition of the work that actuaries are doing around the world, if it's appropriate for it to be at the global level or at a regional or country level. So some of the topics that have been identified that are sort of on the radar, as it were, of the SPC is the challenges around IFRS implementation, cyber risk, which has been an area flagged by a number of supranationals, also alternative investments, which is quite a broad topic. And in the SPC meeting yesterday, we also raised a few other topics, and I just grouped some of them under the topic of social sustainability. So with these horizon scanning topics, then the SPC will have discussions on how we refine them further, and whether it leads to further work for the other entities within the IAA. And bear in mind, this is part of sort of the top-down approach. We also have the bottom-up approach in terms of the topics that are coming from the forums, and Charles will be talking about those a little later. So I think, oh no, that's not all for me, because there's still the membership part. So the other important part of the SPC is the membership of the SPC, and this was the illustration that we used in the council meeting last year, when we voted for this cooling off period to be adopted. And so essentially what this means is that when we have the rotation of the membership of the SPC, then the tier 2 and tier 3 associations, one of those associations rolls off every year. So there's a 3-year cycle. And the cooling off period simply means that the one who has rolled off is then not eligible for the immediate next draw, but waits 1 year and then is eligible. And that just makes sure we're giving everybody a chance to participate in the SPC. So that has been approved at council. So it will now, it's in effect. So the effect of that for this year means, go to the next slide. So we have the annual rotation of the membership of the SPC, which is organized into the different tiers, and there are 3 associations for each tier that are participating in the SPC, and they're rolling off. They're rolling the tier 1. It's a rotation amongst those large associations. So the Society of Actuaries will be rolling off, and the Casualty Actuarial Society will come back in 2024. For tier 2, it is the French who will be rolling off the SPC, and of course then they have a 1-year cooling off period. Then tier 2 associations will be able to self-nominate, and there will be a draw for who will replace that position. And then similarly for tier 3, it will be Singapore Actuarial Society, which will be rolling off. They will then wait another year before they're eligible to be in the draw, and tier 3 associations will be able to submit for that draw. So you'll be receiving that communication about nominating, self-nomination for the draw, and of course please put your name forward, and it is randomness that decides who will be the tier 2 and tier 3 representatives in 2024. Yeah, that's it.
Do you want to say something?
It's mysterious.
No, so I guess it's yours.
Shall I just say a few words about the AI action plan? So we had a very good discussion at the SPC yesterday, and we've drafted an SOI, the task force that currently exists, and it's been very helpful not only to have some supporting comments on the detail of the SOI, and I encourage you, if you haven't already commented, to have a look at it and comment further, but to see an overwhelming support for the direction of travel that we presented to the SPC yesterday. So the next steps are us to finalize the SOI and to bring it to you for your approval. We will want to start to kick off some of the actions, because the discussion yesterday highlighted that this is urgent, that this is a very fast developing area, and given the overwhelming support from the SPC meeting, we're not going to be slow in kicking off the activities that we want to do, which means that I and Peter, who was chairing the task force, Peter Withy, will be coming to you all and asking you for volunteers to populate this important, not just the task force, but the working parties that will support the different areas of activity. So very shortly after this set of meetings, you will be getting requests for assistance, and then we will be updating you on our plans for next year.
I'm happy to take any questions on the work of the SPC.
Well, actually, can I go back to the President's report and the EC's report, because I wanted to ask or make a comment on that. Can I make that? Okay. So I would like to express my concern about the discontinuation of the email distribution lists. I think that the leadership may want to make a cautious approach to that. The executive director says nobody reads emails today. I report to this council that I do, and I know some other people who also do, and I take them very seriously. So I respond them or treat them as appropriate. So
And on the other hand, I think the mobilize is not working exactly as I expect. Maybe I'm an old chap, so I'm outdated. I'm trying to keep up, you know, but I think perhaps the leadership should make an assessment whether or not this step is when it is due and when it is appropriate, assess the risks attached to that. And I would like to that this comment is recorded for the minutes of the council. Thank you very much.
So yesterday I was an observer to SPC. I have here a little bit of disappointment about members, about the ways topics are prioritized and managed. Perhaps it could be a good thing to have some kind of evaluation or assessment using about priorities and the way jobs are done inside SPC among members, just to adapt to the wish of FMS, just have sending some kind of survey and so on, which enables to be all of the same path to the future works of SPC. Even if France is now leaving as a full member, but perhaps it could be a good thing to realign everyone about which proportion to treat which kind of topics and so on, and the way we can treat them. Perhaps a good time to do this evaluation due to the collective and some kind of consensus about this disappointment.
I guess the future SPC, sorry. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, I'm taking note.
Thanks very much. And exactly, I think as I hand over to Micheline, I think the approach will follow the approach we've adopted so far, which is to gather information. So what we had in the sort of horizon scanning exercise that we did at the meeting yesterday is that it is almost a brainstorm type approach, where members are asked to raise topics. This is what we have been doing on a quarterly basis. And then we go through a prioritization process. And it is, as you say, very important that prioritization process takes into account what's important to our members, what's important to our stakeholders like the supranationals, what is feasible in terms of our resources, and of course what's consistent with the 5-year strategic plan that we've approved. So I guess it's to appreciate the concern that we can't spread our resources too thin, but hopefully the process that we have is enabling us to do that. But that's I guess the load that I hand over. Thank you.
Yes, very important topic here. That's is moving from SPC to council. So let me give you a bit of information. Since Sydney, there has been a fair bit of activities on the Canadian incorporation front. It was regularly discussed at EC and SPC, and we held a special information session with council members on September 26. We also had a meeting with the Swiss lawyers commissioned by the Swiss FMA, accompanied by Lutz Willemy, the Swiss delegate to council, and the IA lawyers, the officers, and the Mathieu Langelier. The meeting proved very useful in clarifying the issues and allowed us to make progress in agreeing or towards the agreement on the need to incorporate a non-for-profit service company in Canada. Yesterday, we had a very good SPC meeting where further progress were made. The members of SPC agreed to get back to Mathieu with their list of outstanding by the end of the Friday. So let's look at what was basically agreed here with at SPC. It had been agreed that we would be regularizing the legal structure of the IAA, which is as it is being required to address the legal risk exposure. It has been agreed to create a formal incorporation for the IAA's Canadian operation, the IA Secretariat, and be named IA Services. The format, which has been in discussion as to whether it would be better to be not-for-profit or for-profit. Finally, the decision looking at the advantage and disadvantage, the not-for-profit overwhelmingly was supported in the end. With one single member, the IAA Swiss Verein, to keep on the governance, the actual governance of all decisions being made by council to the Swiss Verein. The not-for-profit corporation entity will be directed by a board of directors. The board of directors will be the exact same individuals as the executive committee and will be elected by council. Again, the idea is to have as little change as possible in the way you deal with our organization. So regarding elements that were particularly of importance in the discussion, one was the governance. So there will be no change in the authority in decision-making, and the IAC role will include oversight of the Secretariat, as it is happening right now, and still under the direction of council. There will be a formal service agreement between the two parties, the two entities, consistent with current regulation and status. That still needs to come, and the Secretariat will work on this diligently.
It's our lawyers who are going to work on it.
Yeah, but diligently through your direction then.
Very.
Yes. Okay. There will be no transfer of investment asset. There was some discussion on what would happen with the assets. Nevertheless, there is a small amount of fixed asset. You can imagine the IT hardware and things like that will need to be transferred. And the IA services will need to have a liquidity and reserve safety net to ensure cash flow for operational expenses. Okay, so how will this work in this environment? The IA services will collect the fees on the basis that the IA, the Swiss one, retains the ownership of the fees. Allocation of the fund will be according to the yearly council approved budget, i.e. this decision of what's to happen there is decided at council. The yearly budget will include the detail of each entity, what's happening there, aiming to ensure that no accumulation of funds, and there's a clear message we got in IA services. Transparency and financial reporting will continue to follow currently established practices, but initially with additional reporting so people can follow what's happening on a quarterly basis early on. The SPC, we basically agreed that as a recommendation body has basically done their work at this point, that it's now time to move on to, I guess, to this level of council. Any remaining comments by SPC member, because they may still be, there have been a commitment that they will be provided to the Secretariat to inform the documents to be produced by, so the comments are due by November the 24th, that Friday. Further documentation then following receiving these comments will be put together and sent to council by December 5th. And following that, so please read this document very well, and we will then come back to council for an approval. The date, December 20th, was the date that we talked about at SPC, but it's also possible that it would be done shortly thereafter. But there's been enough comments about the need to move on. There's some impatience on like the different sentiment in the group, but some are definitively expressing the need to move forward, and therefore we want to keep effectively so that to keep a balance between the two sentiments that we're hearing. Yes. Any questions? Yeah. Okay. Moving forward. Nomination committee. Jan Kruis, Jan, please.
I'm not going to do it over here. I want to say I expected a lively discussion on the
Well, we had a fair bit of it. Oh.
Next slide, please. Oh, it's an interesting one. So this is my thought. This would be the last slide, but so if I keep it short, I can do so. But I want to move on to the next slide, please, and go back to this one later on.
No, the one with the recommendation, I think.
No. First, the nomination process. Sorry.
Okay. Oops.
The nomination process, and then so the order of the slides, I'm sorry for that, is slightly different than I had expected.
You got it. We did not receive
So
that,
a lot of slides has disappeared?
Conclusion?
We did not receive that slide.
Okay. No, I'll keep it short then. First of all, I wanted to say something about the process of the nomination committee. So it's for sure that what we try to achieve as IAA, and you've seen that before, we want to be the voice of the actuarial profession, and we want to represent all our members, all our FMAs, meaning that all FMAs also need to feel that they are represented. Secondly, we talk about the importance of diversity and the strength of diversity, which simply helps us in making us stronger and making us a better organization in doing the right things and making the right decisions, etc. So we spend a lot of time on the diversity already in the last couple of years, not only in the nomination committee, but overall. So probably you don't want to talk about diversity anymore, but certainly I'm going to mention something about it. But the nomination committee totally depends on, not totally, but heavily depends on the names of the candidates we get from you. So all the FMAs, we heavily depend on what kind of names you put forward and what kind of, and we certainly continue emphasizing the importance of diversity, meaning that it's not only we want to have a couple of names in general, but also encourage you to think about what kind of candidates we put forward. Now I need to adapt my whole story because doesn't matter at all. So far, you can get back to the conclusion slide because I already. So far, we have been able to fill in all the roles. It's not only the diversity which accounts, but certainly also the number of candidates we get. because we want to have a choice as a nomination committee. And it's not that if we only have one candidate for a position, that our process, of course, is easy, but that's not something we like to have. We really want to make a choice. So therefore, so far, I think we have been able to make those choices, and we got enough candidates. And in some situations where we had some doubts, because it's not only filling positions, but it is also the quality we are aiming for. So in case we had something like now, perhaps other candidates are better, especially for the composition of the teams, etc., etc. What we simply did was reaching out to FMAs or to individuals or to chairs of committees. So what is your idea, etc., etc. So overall, we think that we are doing okay in filling in the different positions and also on diversity. Now, you've seen the report, so I'm not going to get in detail with all the different analysis of how we've done on diversity in all the different committees, etc., etc. But you have seen the report. At least I expect you've seen the report. So that's not what I'm going to do. So overall, we think we are doing fairly okay, but there's always room for improvement. So especially if you look at the younger candidates and the smaller associations, we think there is room for improvement. But that simply as a nomination committee, not always we think we have enough candidates to choose out of. Now, so we discussed this heavily within the nomination committee. So every year we send out a solicitation letter to all the different FMAs. And every year we have a discussion about, okay, is this letter filling in the purpose? Do we really, does everyone understand what we try to have? And do we need to put more words in it or less words? And so overall, it's still a two-page letter, and we do understand that not everyone will read that letter. Sometimes it simply disappears in some organizations. But overall, we need to write it down, and we need to write down what the purpose is, etc. So what we will be doing is sending out a similar letter as last year. Some slight changes, but in addition to that, that's the discussion we had yesterday. We will also add an enclosure, and that is a list of open positions to make it more easy for FMAs to understand, okay, what are the positions I could apply for? Secondly, and I spoke about that in Sydney, is so sometimes we encourage one-on-one with associations. It would be good if you could come up with candidates, and if you participate more in our organization. And it is a bit of a move forward and get back, etc., etc., etc. Because, for instance, last time we got from more new organization, whole list of candidates for president-elect and nomination committee with candidates who we simply didn't know. And that is a bit of a challenge for us. So we encourage people to come up with names, but we have to be realistic. If there's no track record for candidates within the IAA, yeah, there's no chance that those very important, the very heavy positions in our IAA will be filled with those new candidates, which we don't know. So it is a whole process. And so we had that discussion within the nomination committee as well. What can we do about it? So therefore, we think it is what we can do is, as nomination committee, and perhaps together with leadership, is reaching out to FMAs. But also, I would say to you, if you have any questions regarding the strategy, how to have a successful nomination process. So if you really would like, from an FMA perspective, fill in certain positions in the within the IAA, reach out to us. And and already have had some conversations with candidates in the past. Please be aware, if I encourage you to fill in your name for a certain position, it's not a guaranteed process. So I can't guarantee that your name will be successful, but I only can give you an explanation, and it's not only me, it's the complete nomination committee, it's a secretariat, perhaps it's leadership. Let's have a discussion about that secret process of that nomination, what the nomination committee follows. So that is my main message I would like to give to you. Over to you, Madam President. Now, perhaps there are any questions?
So we have a motion here. That's why I read that motion, that on the recommendation of the nomination committee, the council approves the appointment and reappointment as presented in the attached deployment chart. So may I have a mover and a seconder? Gabor and Mike. Any discussion? No? Okay, may then I guess you print your cards or the voting on online? No. Okay, so it's motion passed. Thank you very much. Next, I will hand over now to Brendan Council to talk about the update on the work of the audit and the finance committee. Brendan.
Thanks, Micheline. So I'll just give a brief update on our recent activities, and we'll also run briefly through financial position at 30 September and how we're looking against budget, as well as an update on the investments. And we'll have, I think, time for questions at the end. Thanks, Christian. Cheers. So just recent activities of the Audit and Finance Committee. This is the key things that we've been focused on in the last few months since the Sydney meetings. I mentioned the risk register at the Sydney meetings, and for those that were at the SPC meeting yesterday morning, we also had some discussion on that. So we have bedded that down now, and we're actively monitoring the risks and engaging with the committees that are involved in that. So the SPC being one, nominations and EC. We will be looking to do an update to the risk register early next year. We are closely monitoring the investment portfolio. I won't talk too much about that now because I'll just cover it briefly at the end. We're in the process of developing a carbon credit policy for travel for IAA staff and the any EC that is travelling under the IAA. We're hoping to, at the moment there has been carbon offsets used on a bit of an ad hoc basis for travel for IAA, but we're looking just to formalise that a bit more and develop a formal policy. Again, probably looking at early in the new year for that, and hoping to bring that to Seoul, to council. We've done our normal annual review of the financial policies, made a few minor updates to those. And of course, we're looking closely at the financial position against the budget, which we'll talk to, which I'll just talk to now. So, summary of the financial statements, which I'll just go to in a sec. We're in a good position at 30 September. These financial this is the position summarised against the budget at 30 September, showing the IAA excluding sections. So we've got a surplus position at 30th of September of around 319,000, which is, this is Canadian, all of this is in Canadian dollars, by the way, which is ahead of our budget for the year, which was looking at to be about 130 odd thousand. So we are forecasting a higher surplus just down in the right-hand corner for the year ended 31 December 2023 at this stage. Some of the reasons, I'll talk to some of the reasons for that in a sec. Just the balance sheet there, sorry, I should just go back. So our net, you can see our net, we've summarised the net asset and liability position there as well. And just some key points on this slide about the key components of the balance sheet. So we've got some current assets. If you're looking at the detail, including prepaid expenses of about 139,000 for this meeting and the meetings in Seoul. Our invested assets are in the order of 2.1 million. This is at 30 September. And there's a number of liabilities which you should hopefully familiar with from previously looking at these financial statements, but the deferred membership revenues of the order of about 530,000, and we've got some bursary funds there as well as about 360 odd thousand. So they're embedded in that balance sheet position that you saw on the previous slide. Just on the financial positions, I mentioned we were running ahead of budget. Some of the reasons for that noted here. So we have had the increase in membership fees did come into effect at 1 January this year. And we've also had an increase in membership numbers by approximately 4%. So that's also been a positive development that's increased our revenues. We've also noted that there was some budgeted expenses for supporting the strategic plan that was about 800,000 over 5 years or 160,000 per year. So that hasn't been, the 160 for 2023 hasn't been fully utilised this year. However, we do expect that to be used in the future. So it's just a deferment of those expenses. So we have saved some costs this year just due to the nature of that being deferred, but it will be used in the future. So it's just, I think, important to point that out. We've generally come in on or under budget on some of the key fixed costs, so support staff and office overheads in particular. And I think I've mentioned this has been called out at previous meetings in Sydney and probably earlier just on the office space as well. So my understanding is the lease is still in effect for the office space. There has been some subletting of that, which has been good just to help manage the expenses there, and that will I think the lease expires in a year or so. So that's also helped. So that was the financial position at 30th of September. In summary, it's looking quite healthy. Just very briefly on the investment portfolio before we go to the motion and questions. So this is our current investment asset allocation as at 30 September. So we are within our policy target ranges for asset allocations. The performance is approximately in line with the benchmarks, and I'll show that on the next slide in a sec. There has obviously been some volatility, as you'd expect with markets as they are in the current environment. What we are going to do is we've got our asset managers, Fiera, who've been with us for a couple of years now. We appointed them several years ago. We will be just seeking their advice or input into our asset allocation as we can constantly review our investment policy, just to make sure that we're getting advice as to that being fit for purpose for the size and structure of our organisation. And finally, that's the that's our performance against benchmark. As I said, it's been I think reasonably good versus benchmark, although obviously there has been some volatility. So that is a very quick run through of the financial position and investment position. I think, do we go to them? Yeah, so then we have the 2024 budget. Yep, okay, sorry. Have we got the motion? Oh, sorry, the motion next. Is that, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we do need to appoint auditors for 31 December 2023. Micheline, can you?
Yes, I will read the motion that on the recommendation of the Audit and Finance Committee, the Council appoint the firm of Parker Prince Lebano as the IAA auditors for the audit of the financial statements on December 31st, 2023. Now, I ask for a mover and a seconder. And what's it now? Any discussion? Oh, yes.
I just have a question. This audit company, do I understand correctly that this is the same company that wrote the summary of for the SPC for the reasons of the IA services company?
I'll ask you.
Yes.
Yeah, so they were doing consulting and audit. Okay, just want to make sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So I guess please raise your card or vote on electronically if you're on the if you're virtual. So is any problem with this system? Ah, okay. Okay. Oops, okay. Sorry for having told your hand so long. Okay, so with that, okay, so motion passed.
Very good, thank you.
You want to go in front? Yeah?
Nope.
No, you're doing from here? No.
I have to read from here. Okay, well, we'll come back to the slides in a moment, but Madam President, thank you for passing the mic over. This is my yearly moment where I put on my treasurer hat for the IAA, and as you know, I take this role very, very seriously. Bonjour à tous et à toutes. I always take that part very seriously as well. As is the case every year, I am pleased to present the budget for the upcoming year. This is my 8th budget as the executive director of the IAA. And it's really nice because this is basically really the first one that we are doing in terms of directly supporting the strategic initiatives. For all of you who were there before, you're going to tell me, Mathieu, no, last year was the first real one. But as you have heard, unfortunately, due to some staff capacity issues that we have been talking in the past, as well as a lot of work on ICA, legal risk, legal matters, and other internal matters. We are a little behind on some of the expenses that we were planning to spend last year or this year in 2023, that we are simply reporting for 2024. So they will still happen, but I do want to apologize to council because we are a little bit behind schedule, but we fully intend to be back on par by the end of 2024. So, yes. What does the budget look like for 2024? I mean, it has been sent to everybody. It was in the 30-day council agenda with the details. So I will be very brief in my remarks. In terms of revenues, as per the 5-year strategic plan, if you recall last year, we increased the fees for the first time in 7 years, if I recall last year. So the fee is now $20.25 Canadian per member with an actual credential, or the lovely MWAC. We are seeing a favorable rebound in the number of MWACs. As Brendan just reported, the 4% last year was a nice surprise. We always try to talk to associations during the year to try to see what the trends are from their perspective, so we can try to capture this. And that was not expressed during the year last year, so it was a very nice surprise. You are probably going to ask me, so how come we just put 2% for next year? Well, the reason is we simply did the average of the last 3 years together. We do not have more information from associations except some informal discussions that the trend is going to be higher than 2% from your own perspective, associations. And as always, I encourage associations, when you do have some of that granular information, to please let us know, because that helps in the budget process for the future year. So that's where we did it. The 2% is the average of the last 3 years. A note on other revenues, and Madam President, I always take the time to talk about this, and I hope I don't sound too much like a broken record, but it's more an opportunity to remind council of the issue. Sometimes we get asked about like sponsorship, doing trade shows and so on as a source of significant revenue for the IAA. As a yearly update, I'll always have those discussions with some of the big companies, potential sponsors, and they always tell me, Mathieu, absolutely love the IAA, very nice. I have the choice. I can put $20,000 in your pocket, or ICA, or sections, or FMA. Where do you want it to go? And it is not something that we are entertaining, simply because no one wins there. Like, we're not going to start stealing or allocating funds that should go to ICA or sections or FMAs. No one wins at that game. And it hasn't changed. So the information that we have from sponsors that they don't have more money to put at events, and they don't have more money for the IA falling out of the sky. So that's my yearly update to council. In terms of expense, very quickly, I mean, Micheline already mentioned in her presentation earlier that the work on IT and communication, it is very important for us. We are going to spend a lot of time and energy on this. We would have liked to start earlier this year, but as I mentioned, we are a little bit late on that, but we are going to catch up very soon. You probably want to hear about the IA meetings. As you probably know, next year we are going to have a large meeting in Seoul. We're very happy to be there. It's going to be in May, and then we were going to have a smaller meeting in Estonia, Tallinn. That will be immediately following the section JOCO in Brussels. You're going to hear a little bit more about the JOCO later on. I just love that acronym, by the way, that's why I mentioned. You will have noticed in terms of venues that 2023 was a test year, as I mentioned earlier. In terms of the IA testing, smaller budget-friendly hotel, or one that looks like a jail cell. And I was not planning to do a presentation with water dripping behind me, by the way, if you're wondering. So I think it's safe to mention that it was a test. You know, a lot of the feedback we received was not stellar. And we have planned for next year to go back to slightly larger properties that are going to be more suitable for our IA meetings. Quick note, oh yes, as you probably heard about as well in the lovely AI slide that had nothing on it earlier, we are going to have a first ever AI roundtable. That's one of Charles's very dear to his heart initiatives. It has been reflected in the budget. It is expected to happen in Asia sometime in Q2, likely early April, sorry. So early April next year. We are also happy to continue our work to help the support of the profession, the development of the profession via a advance in assistance, seminar that will be alongside the Asian Actual Congress in Hong Kong in Q4 next year. Very happy about that. Finally, and this is a little bit more for me, Madam President, I'm really pleased that for the first time ever, we have a line item for D&I in our budget. Of course, it's a small line item, but we got to start somewhere, and we're starting, and it's something that we're probably going to build on in the future because it is a very important topic. First time ever in the budget, so very excited about that. And a quick note, I think Brendan mentioned earlier, like if you want to visit the current secretariat, you have until October. We're moving to a smaller space in October. So if you want to have that selfie with our nice board in the current office, like let me know, we can arrange a tour of the office. We are resizing to something smaller simply because we need to adapt our current offices to the way that we are operating. Our staff is operating in a hybrid model. And as you probably know, like some of our staff has calls at midnight or 5 a.m. So like I want them to focus on their calls versus commuting to work. That's my approach, Madam President. So we are looking at that. Overall, we are looking at a small deficit for 2024. And Madam President, I hand the floor back to you. Thank you for your time.
Do you have a motion or something to?
Yeah, the motion is next slide.
Following, okay. So we do have a motion to approve the proposed budget and membership fee for 2024. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
Questions first.
Huh?
No.
No. I see your hand, but do I have a mover and a seconder before we start discussing? Rosanna and okay, and yeah. Okay, any discussion? I guess yes.
Just one question. We are now with reserves at 86%, something like that. But do you expect us to be back at near to 100% then in 2025 again? Because if I remember right, that is our target to be above 100.
So the very good question. It's a range that we do want to look around between 75 and 100%. And we're looking at it with the 5-year perspective of strategic plan. As I said, and I apologize again, we are a little bit behind in some of the initiatives for this year. So that target is probably going to be skewed a little bit for this year, but over the plan, we are still planning to go within that range.
Okay. Next. Oh, yeah, vote.
It would be good, Madam President. Yeah, thank you. It would be nice.
Okay, so would you raise your card and on the virtual if you want to vote electronically, please?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll obviously motion passed.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam President?
Oh, that's already voted on.
May I interrupt to recommend a coffee and bio break?
Oh.
I have been informed that it is ready upstairs.
Would you agree? Would you vote in favor? Okay. So let's go.
Perfect. So the coffee break is being set up now. They're going to be about 5 minutes, and we have how much time? 30 minutes. We have 30 minutes. Please, everybody, be back in the room in 30 minutes. Thank you so much.
I should put your slide back.
good coffee. We'll now reach the second part of our agenda, which is the business agenda. And we're going to start with a report from the Advance Committee. Charles.
So thank you, Micheline. So I'm here giving Barbara D'Ambrosio's report. Sadly, she couldn't be here today, so I was very happy to give her report to you. So although it's my name on it, she's the one that's done all the hard work, not me. A year-end progress update. Just to remind you what the Advance Committee is all about, we're there to promote the development of actuarial knowledge and to share expertise and to align our activities to the key strategic goals of the IAA. So in particular, that means supporting the impact function of working with supranationals. We do this through a number of forums, including the Social Security subgroup, which is part of the Pensions, Benefits and Social Security Forum. And we've also taken on the two task forces around water risk and the UN SDGs. The Advance Committee meets very regularly with very good attendance, which is good to see, and maintains very strong and regular contact with the leadership of each of the forums to ensure that the activity of the forums is both aligned to what we're trying to achieve, but also that they learn from each other and implement best practices amongst themselves, because this is following the renewal of the IAA. This is a slightly different way of working. So in particular, we've now got proper processes and templates in place to manage activity and to look at what the forums are doing and to use those as a way of providing updates and hopefully improving what we do. So I think we're doing a number of things right. We're good at keeping the FMAs informed on what's going on, and the forum leaders get regular feedbacks on what they're doing. And we are increasingly encouraging the forums to host webinars, to engage collectively, collaboratively with the sections, which is very important. A lot of the keen volunteers sit within sections, and a lot of our activities overlap. So the work of the sections is very important to us. And as I mentioned just before, engaging with supranationals. And we do that through the relationship managers that the IAA has established, where we can look for opportunities to contribute and collaborate. And that has to be a two-way process. And we're still getting better at that. So, you know, that there are things that interest the forums that we're talking about that we then think, this might be of particular interest to one of our supranationals. And then we take those ideas to the supranationals. But also, it needs to work the other way as well. So we look to the relationship managers to tell us what's of concern to the supranationals to see if it's an area where we can help. So that two-way relationship is working pretty well. I still think we can do more to make it flow even better. But it is a good working relationship. And then finally, and certainly not least, we, through the forums, provide an open forum for discussion between the FMAs, where they can share what they're doing, share what they're of particular interest in their location, and just share what is happening, because one of the things I've certainly valued most is learning how different countries apply very similar principles and actuarial techniques to different situations, and you often see different solutions that you wouldn't necessarily think about in the closed space of your own country and association. So that sharing of knowledge and expertise is really important. So just a quick note on a few of the ongoing projects. The Enterprise and Financial Risk Forum has been doing work to look at how generative AI is being used in actuarial practice, and there's a webinar coming up on insights from failures and near failures, and that's taking place next month. So they've been very active and done some really good work. The Banking Forum held a webinar earlier this year on the banking crisis, and is producing a paper on some of the key issues that were covered in that webinar. The General Insurance Forum is looking in particular at cyber risk and looking at some of the initiatives that the different FMAs are doing in this increasingly important area. Inclusive Insurance is looking at drafting a paper on the values of inclusive insurance and how those values could be applied to a wider and broader audience, and some really interesting work being done there. Mortality Forum continues to be very active, looking in particular this year at the impact of COVID-19 on mortality, and also the impact of climate change on mortality. And of course, that's not just the immediate impact on mortality, but trying to look forward into the future and to see how some of these long-term impacts might affect mortality tables. And the Pensions and Benefits and Social Security Forum has had quite significant engagement with the OECD and IOPS, and we went to their meetings in June and October, and we have been getting very favourable and positive reactions from those engagements, which has been really good to see. So all of the forums have been active and have been doing some really good work. They're getting used to working more virtually than was the case before the renewal of the IAA, and of course before COVID also changed a few things. And by and large, they're working effectively. But there are still things that could be improved, and we still need to work at improving member engagement and participation. Some of that isn't helped by the challenge of different time zones when you're working virtually, and you've got to cover time zones of up to 18 hours. It's impossible to choose social time zones for everybody, and that obviously impacts on participation. And also language barriers don't help. I am hoping that as our technology improves and AI gives us more clever tools, that will get increasingly easy. But inevitably, at the present time, there are challenges there. But whilst there could be improvement, the participation has been good. Similarly too, whilst we've had some good examples of collaboration with sections, I still think we can do more in that area. The sections do some really great, valuable research and interesting work that is of value to the forums and the work general of the IAA, and we need to ensure that we're properly joined up. I've mentioned about the Supras and the relationships that we have, and getting a good two-way flow of information. That's been happening, but we could still do it better. So we will be working on that in the next year to ensure that, yes, the good ideas that are coming up in the forums are delivered to the Supras, but also that we listen out and get updates on what are the issues that are of real concern to our key supranational partners. And we've got to get a little better at finding ways for member associations to raise particular issues that are important to them that are not covered by the activity of forums. And we know this happens, and we just need to find a way to make sure we pick up that a little better. So that there are still things that we could do better, but generally I would say, and I say this as an observer, this is, I emphasize, is Barbara's report, not mine. I think Barbara's done a great job this year, and they've moved on in leaps and bounds since they were created a year or two back. So that was all I was going to say on the Advanced Committee.
Yes.
Are you taking on for the water?
What, you want to continue?
No.
Yes, I'll do that. Won't make you suffer. So yes, in Sydney, you've approved the SOI for the water-related risk. Since then, we recruited a chair, Andrew Schut, from South Africa, who was part of the group that come up with the statement of intent, and he has actual expertise in the domain, having worked in South Africa on some water issues. We were very pleasantly surprised by the number of volunteers that the association forwarded to us. I was admit personally, I thought that being such a new topic specific to water, that we would have very few names. But we ended up having 21, so we had to choose, and we ended up decided, well, maximum 10 to have a good representation across the planet, but also to have different expertise. Some people have expertise in agriculture, some people are in investment, in insurance, anyway. So a large array of expertise. And we kept the 11 others as observer, not knowing too many of the members that we're selecting, because it's really new talent coming to the IAA. So we thought we would be good to keep observers in case people realize that this is not exactly what they want to do, or things like that. And the observer also provide the opportunity to keep a link with different FMAs, like a broader range of FMAs. So this, and so far we've had 2 meetings. So it's, Andres is keeping us, because I'm delegate to that group as the officer to that group. Anyway, so 2 meetings today, and I already started talking about the outline of the first paper, and a number of volunteered to do this, and we will discuss further at our next meeting in December. So looking forward for the 6 papers over the next 3 years. So we're talking now about paper 1 that we hope to will complete during the year. And ideally, as this moves forward, we're going to start the second paper. So the first one is why actuaries should be concerned about water risk. So basically creating an awareness on the risk. And as You may have heard if you listen to town hall, we have an idea of what the risks are, but when you get deeper into this, you realize it's even much more, and so it's important to have an awareness of the topic, and then with actuaries being interested and convinced that this is important, then it's time to talk about the scientific and the application and so on. But first, getting the attention is the most important thing. As you are at town hall, you now know that we got one resource from the OECD, which Lila Davis, and Lila attended the first 2 meetings and is committed to attend the future meetings. So that's great news. As you can see, she has lots of expertise and she has been on that topic for like many years. So that's a very good asset for us. So that's all I have to report. I see Gabor just besides me. I don't know, Gabor, if you want to add anything to what I said, because Gabor has been quite active with us with the SOI and now on the committee. Okay, so that's yes. Next topic, Roseanne, I think. Oh, yes. Any question? Yes. No? Oops, yes, one. Yes, Marc.
Well, not to disappoint you, Micheline, my question is not to you, it's to Charles. I know, sorry about that. In fact, it's a couple of remarks which I think having the opportunity to see representatives from all of the, or most of the FMAs, I would like to maybe suggest that there's a need to, like the FMAs with the new structure are really, all the new structure has been aimed at getting FMAs to say what they want the IAA organizations to work on, be it a forum, be it a committee, and so on. What this entails is that you need to have in your FMA somebody or somebodies that will be asked to provide that feedback to the IAA. And I'm thinking a bit with the notion of a relationship manager that we have at the IAA. It could be an equivalent structure where where the IAA, be it a forum like my forum at the mortality, where do I go to each FMA? It would be helpful to have one person that we can designate. Doesn't need to have the answer, but it will be the person that will seek an answer within the FMA and then be able to turn around and say, okay, you want to know what mortality forum, what would be useful for our FMA with regard to mortality, for instance? Well, I got the information, and here it is. So, and on the other comment in the things we could improve that Charles had, his last slide there, that was number 4. And number 1 was engagement. So as Charles explained, we do have, I've had a lot of members on the forum. It's a well-represented forum. I would like to suggest to all of you to make sure that your member is on any forum, not just mine, is well informed of 2 things. They need to try the best they can, and I'm not imposing any rules, but the best they can to participate within the forum. You've got to insist on this and say, we are designating you. We expect you to participate the best you can. And number 2, find a way again, after all, what is coming out of a forum, like sharing information? Well, that's not just for the delegate. This is for the FMA. So find a way to distribute the information that is being generated by all the forums, all the committees, back to the members of your FMA at large. If you prefer a webinar, let's make a webinar. If you want a publication, do something. That's my wish.
Mark, thank you very much. Very, very helpful suggestions, and I entirely endorse everything you say. That would be indeed much appreciated if we could fully embrace everything you said. Thank you.
Any other? Roseanne, I think we're now moving to Sustainability Development Goal.
Yeah, so I have reported on this to the AC. So the Sustainability Development Goals Task Force has now been established and is under the Advanced Committee. As Micheline said, with regard to the Water Task Force, it was really pleasing to see so many associations putting forward nominations to participate in this topic. So it really highlighted that this is a topic of importance to member associations, and I think it's also pleasing that we're reaching a wider range of volunteers to come and participate in the activities of the IAA. So the group is being chaired by Lucy Say from the IFOA, and they met only last week for the first time. The volume of people who responded to the call for nominations meant that we structured the task force as having one member per association that nominated people, but those who had expressed interest are then in a wider observer or liaison group, and as the SDGs that are going to be focused on for further work are identified, then it lends itself to them being included in that work. So there's two groups that are, the first task is looking at what is currently being done in member associations around the world, and so that we can leverage off work that's already being done. And then also we're looking, another group looking at the supranationals in terms of the kind of questions they're asking, as well as the work that they have been doing. Then the group will be focusing on trying to narrow the focus on SDGs, and as was highlighted in the SPC, that could be on a thematic basis as well. So that's being developed. It is a short time horizon, timeline to the end of 2024, because essentially it's planning work, but then of course this is likely, given the interest here, to lead to further work, but that will of course be brought back when at the appropriate time. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Roseanne. Next, the next report will come from the Actuarial Standard Committee. Andrew Chamberlain. Andrew, if you want to move to the mic.
President, I will just briefly report on the proceedings of the ASC at these meetings here in Lisbon, prior to asking for your endorsement on the SOI for ISAP 8. We had a very active meeting. We started with winding up and giving vote of thanks to the ISAP 7 task force, the ISAP 7 being approved at the Sydney Council. And that was the sort of formality of ending their work after they had produced what I believe, I wasn't able to attend it, but there was a webinar on the 8th of November. I was busy representing the IAA at the IFRS Advisory Council, so I couldn't attend both. The main topics of debate at the ASC were in relation to future activities. ISAP 1, under the due process, is due for review now. ISAPs 2 and 4 come up for review next year. We also have the necessary concern to respond to the CRTF's views on climate and the way that should interact with the ISAPs. And in the course of it, we came up with a very interesting and difficult sort of philosophical almost debate, because we are quite used to, and ISAP 1 clearly talks about actuaries using data. It talks about actuaries using models, and it talks about actuaries relying upon the work of others. Now, when you look at something like the IPCC's climate projections, is that data? Is that a model that you're using? Or are you relying on the work of some climate scientists, if you are working in that area? And for the purposes of what the actuary is expected to do under ISAP 1, it does make a difference. And it's not always clear with some of these matters exactly which you're doing. If you then extend that into the world of AI, is AI someone you're relying upon? Is it a model? Or is it providing you with data? And it can be almost any of those three. And we'll need to actually develop the thinking behind ISAP 1 to cover this and many other such debates that are increasingly going to arise as we look at new areas of concern and interest. So that will be the focus of an initial study on whether we can tweak ISAP 1 or whether we will need to come back to Council with a new SOI to develop ISAP 1 under the full due process. That decision will be made in the first half of next year. ISAP 2, we will be inviting all interested parties on Social Security to input to us as to whether they think any revisions are needed, and we'll make a decision on the basis of that probably in Seoul. ISAP 4 is rather more difficult. It was a very long time in development, and it is of course for IFRS 17, and anything the IAA has done, the development of IFRS 17 eclipses it in duration. We of course celebrated the 25th anniversary of the IAA, and I think the work on IFRS 17 really started about the same time. And it's not really live yet. It's just becoming live in one or two jurisdictions, and it's developing. So I think it's too early for us to review ISAP 4, and we are likely, therefore, to take the view that we need to postpone that review until things start to actually happen. That's all I have on reporting the meeting, but most importantly, I have to ask Council for its support on the adoption of the statement of intent for ISAP 8.
Yes, thank you very much, Andrew. So effectively, we do have a motion for you to vote on, so that on the recommendation of the Executive Committee, the Council ratifies the statement of intent for ISAP 8, IFRS S2, climate-related disclosure. Please show. Yes. Oh, mon Dieu.
And then ask somebody online if they want to. They never got the chance.
Okay. Well, we're looking for a mover and.
That's the Caribbean mover.
Mover. Okay. Okay. Great. And seconder, I guess. Yeah. Yes. Discussion. Yes. Discussion. No discussion. Okay. Vote, please raise your card if you vote in favor, and the same thing for the virtual attendees. Please register your vote.
Good.
Thank you very much. Didn't ask that question before, but let's start. Anybody abstaining? Anybody voting against? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So the next is a report from ICA 2023, Bozena. That's always been your favorite topic, and so we're looking forward to hear back from you on how good was ICA 2023, both from, I guess, attendance and financial success.
Thank you, Michelin. And hello, everyone. I'm absolutely delighted to report that ICA 2023 was a great success. Many of you were able to join me there and could see this for yourselves. We have given the IAA a 95-page full report that I'm now going to take you through page by page. Only joking. We're going to start off with a few highlights with a short video.
It is my great pleasure to welcome 1,500 actuaries from over 60 countries together again in person.
I now declare the 32nd International Congress of Actuaries officially open.
At the heart of the actuarial approach, we build models of the future. But here at this Congress, I feel certain that we can light up the world.
It's been fantastic with over 200 sessions, 400 speakers, and then we had lots and lots of plenary sessions and concurrent sessions.
This week's event has been energizing, inspirational, educational, but most importantly, it's brought us together as an actuarial community.
It means a lot for me to be here at the ICA. I think it's almost surreal to be able to share this experience with a lot of the global actuaries and the global community that we have.
Hopefully what is set up here will stimulate thoughts as to the future of our great profession.
I think it's the first time in my life seeing so many actuaries at once.
We've just seen in the last few years the biggest shift in consumer behaviour that we've seen in decades.
Actuaries have a unique combination really of skills that lets them look into complex data and tease out the important threads in that.
Really glad I volunteered because it's just been a really good experience and I've gotten to meet a lot of amazing people.
I definitely recommend the ICA the next time to anybody considering it. It's an investment in yourself.
If you have the right people, the right processes, the right systems in place, I think you can manage anything.
I love it. It's really, really great to be able to see all my mentors, colleagues from all over the world. It's awesome.
Some new friendships and relationships are going to be developed here that can flourish over the next few years and into the future.
This is the only place that you can get that type of holistic view of the global actuarial community.
This community is open to share and to embrace and partner for future in order to sort out several problems and to make better future for the consumer. Events like this showcases us, right? We are intelligent and we care about the world.
One last job is to pass the baton to Mr. Hiroshi Soji, and we wish you good luck for ICA 2026. Thank you.
2023 had over 1,500 delegates, with over 1,200 in person from 86 countries who came to the International Convention Centre at Darling Harbour in Sydney. The Sydney Winter Lights Festival Vivid was on at the same time, providing a spectacular backdrop. At ICA, together, we listened to hundreds of presentations, carefully selected from the 384 abstracts submitted. There were 11 prizes awarded, recognising outstanding contributions in different areas of actuarial work. 7 countries were represented among the winners. In spite of COVID and the distance needing to be travelled by many, the Congress was a success, with over $100,000 in surplus able to be provided to the IAA. The financial success was helped by the contributions from our sponsors, who we thank again. The theme of the Congress was Bridge to Tomorrow, and this theme was brought to life by the over 400 speakers who inspired and entertained us. We had really high satisfaction ratings. For the plenaries, 81% rated them as excellent, very good, And for the keynote sessions, 91% rated them as excellent, very good. We had 229 concurrent sessions. And on the Sunday afternoon before the Congress, the IAA organised a diversity workshop with volunteers from the actuarial community. The workshop was attended in person by 132 people, along with 54 virtual attendees. There was a great sense of community among all those there, evident at the networking tea breaks and the social events. Participants could join a harbour cruise to see the vivid lights, have a night at Luna Park to go on the Ferris wheel and the Dodgem cars, and have an opportunity to see Aboriginal dance. ICA was a time to both meet new friends and to share experiences with familiar faces. We had fantastic feedback from delegates. Just to highlight a couple, loved the genuine and heartfelt welcome felt from all local actuaries, staff and volunteers at ICA. Everyone was so friendly and seemed genuinely happy to be hosting and welcoming us. This really made a big difference. And I was walking down Pitt Street on my way to dinner last night, and an American representative from one of our sponsors stopped me and said, "Just this, amazing Congress, great experience, thank you actuaries." Then away he went. To me, that just about sums it up. The ICA 2023 Organising Committee would also like to acknowledge the invaluable assistance from the IAA sections and officials. So thank you very much. This definitely contributed to the success of ICA. And finally, all good things must come to an end, and we officially handed over the baton to ICA 2026 to be held in Tokyo. So thank you and your colleagues for making this such a success.
Yes, it is at the end, at this year-end meeting of the council, that the council elects our next president and president-elect. Both will leave the room along with all the non-voting members and attendees. Sorry, non-voting attendees, of course, whether attending virtually or in person. So if you're on the, even if you're on, this is a secret meeting that we'll have. So please close your line. The live YouTube channel will be paused. Okay, and people so know what's going to happen. I guess I'm
Don't go too far.
Yeah. 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 Ok, so j'imagine qu'il y a un mot. Ok. Wait.
Go ahead.
Qu'est-ce qu'on
C'est bon, we're online, we're good, Madam President. In the room, visual support seems to recommend that we're good.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, should close both doors. Okay, so I think we're all just ourselves, and the YouTube feed must have been paused. Yes, too.
It's not
Okay.
running.
It's not even. It's still not running. Okay, no comments. Yes. So we do have a motion that council-elect Charles Culling as president for the year 2024 and Bozena Hinton as president-elect for the year 2024. Now, this is, I guess, one single motion.
Yes. We'll mess around.
So you're wondering what's the result? Well, congratulations to both of you. Charles, would you like to say a few words?
I'd love to say a few words. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to everybody. I'm very grateful and very humbled by your very kind support. And I do promise to do what I can to continue the great work of my successors. I particularly want to...
Successors?
Sorry, predecessors. It's been a long few days. I particularly want to say a big thank you to Micheline and Roseanne. They have been great to work with this year. Micheline's passion for the IAA knows no bounds, and I've learned so much from that. Roseanne has a wonderful people management approach and diplomatic skills that I can only hope to emulate. And then both of them have worked so hard on your behalf. I only hope that I can do a little bit of the hard work that they've done for you in the last year and more. So, but I am excited. I'm really excited about the future and the year ahead. I think we've got so much to offer as a profession. I think the opportunities for us are great, great in every sense. So my particular focus for next year will be around the growth of the actuarial profession. That's what I want to really focus on. And that's growth both in our traditional areas, but also in our new areas of involvement. And both Micheline and Roseanne have done a huge amount to challenge our work in things like climate risk, the water risk task force that you heard about, the new UN SDGs that we're partnering with. There's so many opportunities for actuaries to get involved in new areas. But also geographically, I'm very keen to support the geographic growth of the profession. So I will take up Micheline's challenge and promise to attend virtually or even in person, whatever events you wish to hold next year. I am keen to support your efforts to grow the profession. I particularly want to support the great work that Jill's been doing on the Future Actuary Task Force. I think that's so important to the growth of our profession. And also, as you heard from me yesterday and a little bit today, AI is something that I think gives us huge and exciting opportunities for the future. But we've got to really grasp that opportunity and make the most of it. And I think we can. So I think the opportunities for growth are significant and exciting. And finally, within that, I've already spoken to Mohammed Amrani. I'm keen that we look at the advice and assistance area of our activities as a way of really engaging new members into our profession and helping them along. And that also extends to the work of the membership committee, where we're looking to help our associate members become full members. And finally, I've spoken with Abe about how we can improve our participation in the sections. The sections have got so much to offer, and the more that we can improve both the activities of the sections, but also the membership of the sections, that will make the IAA a stronger place. So that's my focus for next year. It's all around the growth of the profession and the exciting opportunities that we've got ahead of us. So thank you all very much.
While Bozena is thinking about whether she wants to give us a word, we're going to take some pictures here, just just to officialize what this passage.
Wanna go please
Yeah.
in front of the sign?
So first, this pin basically identifies you as the president.
Thank you very much.
And
She wants to do it over there.
okay, and I'd like to pass on to you the badge of honor. So, yes, okay. It's a very heavy, but more responsibility than yes.
Sure.
We can make it together a little later. Good. Yeah, fine. No,
What's next?
Bozena. Oh, Bozena is ready for a few words. Oh, surprise, surprise. Oh, that's for her. Yes.
I'm deeply honoured to accept this role as President-elect. I have great respect for those who have taken on this role in the past, and I'll try my best to emulate their contributions. Many of you and your colleagues have been friends and supporters along the way, and I thank each and every one of you for teaching me about the IAA and its spirit. Your trust and support has led to me standing here now. It is a great privilege to take on this leadership role, and I will do my best to uphold your trust. I remember attending my very first IAA meeting in Limassol 15 years ago and walking up to the registration desk. I was warmly greeted by name by the IAA staff member, who may well have been Anne. I was so surprised. At every other conference or gathering that I'd attended when there's over 200 people, it's a very anonymous process at the registration desk, when you collect your name tag and then you walk off. But this was a personal welcome. I began to understand then that the IAA was something different. There is great potential for the IAA, and I'm excited to be part of it. A successful IAA is a thriving international community. Member associations see relevance and value in being part of it. The IAA has a voice in areas where actuaries can add value. Our vision is that the actuarial profession is globally recognised as leading experts in risk and financial security, contributing to the well-being of society. The IAA can present a global perspective that can add to and strengthen local voices. The IAA can be an important voice for the actuarial profession. The strength of the IAA is to be more than the sum of its parts, and following the principle of subsidiarity, to do things that local associations cannot, to focus on impact and outreach. We can achieve this by being more active with supranationals. We can speak out as the IAA on issues where the actuarial skill set can add value. We can have a public voice, and the IAA's voice can strengthen all associations, large and small. The IAA's voice can complement the voice of large associations and perhaps get an international hearing that small associations may be unlikely to be able to achieve on their own. The IAA is great. It's amazing. We have an association of 74 full members and 26 associate members from all over the world. There is so much more that unites us than divides us. Sometimes we can get caught up in problems, but we must not forget what has already been achieved. When the world looks at us, they see a united actuarial body, able to speak with one voice. We have a model education system and model standards. We have a rich tradition of thought leadership and developing actuarial science through the sections. We have made valuable contributions to international problems, such as recently through the IASB with IFRS 17. We can be an internationally recognised, important voice in financial issues, presenting a balanced, accurate and trusted view. I am proud my association is an IAA member, and I think we can all walk a little taller, knowing that we're united together, all contributing to promoting the actual profession through informing and influencing global stakeholders, assuring the reputation of the profession and advancing its competency. The IAA is a place where, while we're all different, we look to what we have in common. And I encourage all of you to join with me as we innovate, collaborate, and make our voice heard. I am honoured to continue to serve the IAA and contribute to its future success.
So now can I have a turn? Because on behalf of a grateful IAA, I would like to thank Micheline for her service to her profession. I really feel that it has been a great privilege for me to have served on the officers group with Micheline for 2 years and to experience the kind of passion and diligence that she brings to this role. For me, she has brought valuable insights from her illustrious actuarial career for the benefit of the global profession, and thank you for all you have done. For me personally, I have been always deeply inspired by Micheline, and it has been a really great privilege to work with you. So on behalf of the IAA, thank you for your service, and to remind you of all those hours of toll. Oh, do you want us to?
Okay.
I don't know if you want me to.
No, I guess you don't want to risk that, but another picture with it? Okay. So take.
That's the ex-president pin, by the way. Just
Yes. X. Or X. It will be X. It's a past, no X.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Roseanne, for this plaque. It has effectively been an incredible experience in the year. I was lucky to get to be the president of the ICA 2023. It's to be there and to greet all these people has been a fantastic experience. And the picture that you just showed brought me back to that moment. So I've been privileged, and we've gone through exciting times. I'd like to thank my two colleagues, Charles and Roseanne, for the support. We have been a diversified team, right? And that's the strength of a group to effectively. Roseanne has been a mentor for the diversity and inclusion, and that's, I think, the input in real life. So thanks. And I wish you as good of an experience with the president than I had. And I hope that I'll be as much help to you than Roseanne has been to me.
Next slide. Moving on.
Yes. So the next, we do have some video. Mr. de Mol, Philippe, would you like to say a few words? I know you've made some remarks at the last meeting in Sydney, but it's coming closer, so maybe you want to refresh the memories.
Thank you, Micheline. So, as I announced at the end of the council meeting in Montreal and in Sydney, it is my pleasure to inform you that Belgium will host the JOCO 2024. JOCO for the first joint colloquium of all IAA section on the same place in the same week. So don't hesitate to share the information to all the actuaries in your local association. Voilà. And as I told you in Sydney, don't come only for the actual meeting, but also for the Belgian chocolate, the Belgian waffles, the Belgian fried fruit, and the Belgian beers. Thank you very much.
No, okay. So this is a reminder that our next meeting will be in Seoul, South Korea, the date being May 28th to 24th. Please do take note of the dates, because there's been some changes in the dates, small changes, about the same period, but a few days apart. And so just don't miss it because of that change. You should have this on your calendar. Just don't wait and plan to attend. Do I have a so we don't have a video. But, we do have a video. Okay, finally. Okay. Okay.
First, yeah.
Yes, yes. Please tell us a few words.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. I am Yongbom Jeon, the next president of the Institute of Actuary of Korea. We're here today to participate in a meaningful moment with all of you from all over the world with diverse experience and exceptional capabilities. This diversity is a special strength that we have, and we believe that when we work together and pool our wisdom, we can create a better future. I'm honored to be here with you, and I want to say thank you. Each of the meetings held in Lisbon provided the opportunity to discuss various topics, and I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Portuguese and the IAA Secretariat for their meticulous and complete preparations. We hope to continue this important and meaningful exchange and cooperation in Korea. We promise you that we'll do our best to make sure that the next meeting is well prepared and successful. We'll also offer a variety of programs so that you can enjoy various aspects of Korea during your visit. First, a welcome reception in a traditional Korean house and an official dinner on Seoul's stunning artificial island on the Han River awaits you. In addition, we'll provide you with a variety of recommended places and travel courses so that you can experience the cultural beauty of Seoul and others. So please pay a lot of attention, and if you have any question, please feel free to contact our office. We have prepared a video this time too, and the welcome reception venue and the official dinner venue are shown. In closing, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for your interest in the IAEA Council and the community meetings in Seoul, and I look forward to seeing you all again in Seoul. Thank you very much.
서울 어디영차 서울 어디영차 서울
서울은 계속된다. 가장 서울답게. Your soul goes on.
Thank you very much. Very interesting video. I'm looking forward to be with you in just a few months. Well, we also have to think about what's next after Seoul. And I think Marika is going to maybe say a few words on what could happen in Tallinn.
Yeah, so it's short, small meeting. I'll try to keep it short. It's really an honor and a pleasure to invite you all to my beloved city of Tallinn next year. So from one edge of Europe to another edge of Europe next year. So thank you, EC, for considering us. And so I can't promise you excellent weather.
Welcome to Tallinn.
But I can promise you the warmth and romance of city of Tallinn. So big your families, friends, partners, all those who support you in your hard work in IAEA. And so we take care about the entertainment while we will be sitting on meetings, and short video to illustrate that.
Welcome to Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, and the holder of the title of European Green Capital in 2023, as well as one of the most advanced digital societies in the world. Some believe it to be the best kept secret in Europe. The heart of Tallinn is its picture-perfect UNESCO World Heritage listed altar, colourful merchant houses, twisty cobblestone streets, Gothic spires, hidden courtyards, and an ancient city wall makes Tallinn one of the best preserved medieval cities in modern Europe. Let's meet in Tallinn. It's about time.
Thank you very much, Marika. Also looking forward to be in Tallinn. Looking at, so next slide. Oops, no, I guess I wanted just to advertise also Sao Paulo in 2025. So just the one after, we do have a video. No video? Okay, so just so that you know, we do have the dates for Sao Paulo. It would be May 21st to 25th, as you can see on the screen. So also, I guess it's a bit early to plan, but nevertheless, keep this date in mind. Other business, I guess that's the end of our day. So thank you very much for the attendance and looking to see you, as many of you as possible in Seoul. Thank you.
Finished.